let's address the new community broadcast that DICE brought to us just a couple of days ago. Now, I'm really not very impressed with what I saw. It's not that the community managers are doing a bad job, and I will just start this video out by saying they really don't have much choice. Jeff Braddock and Part Welsh are absolutely amazing people, and the fact that they are consistently on the front line getting bombarded with all of the crap on Reddit and Twitter and other social media platforms, and the way they deal with it is just fantastic. I'm really impressed with how they've managed to give us the information, and also, considering the amount of hate that they have, kept things just to the info and to the point. That being said, the actual community broadcast itself and the information it held kinda made me quite angry. It's been around 40, 50, 60 days since the last community broadcast or update as far as I'm aware. Over the Christmas period there has been so much feedback from the community, so there should be no shortage of information that DICE can take on board, review, and then bring us a proper broadcast in return. I think one of the most annoying things for me when I was reading the broadcast was the bit that focused on the improved experience that players have had. Let me just read you an extract from the community broadcast itself. For many of you here, the biggest change of the chapter came in the form of our recent weapon balancing. We improved the experience that players have when being engaged at long distances, and you've been active in sharing with us how these changes feel. Since we returned from the winter break, we've invested a great deal of time reviewing that feedback and measuring it against the behaviours that we've seen from players in the game, and the safeguards that we set in place to determine if we were making a change that positively impacted the gameplay experience for all players. Now, and this is my opinion on this, that's a load of rubbish. I really want to see the data that proves, and the feedback that proves, that people and players, the community that are playing Battlefield 5, enjoyed that update. I don't think I've met anyone that has played Battlefield 5 since the TTK update and enjoyed it more. Sure, they might still enjoy playing the game. Some people just enjoy playing Battlefield no matter what happens, but they can't enjoy it more. There's no way that this is a positive outcome. Potentially, in the statistics that they gather, they may have seen less churn. Maybe players are keeping the game on for longer before putting it down. But overall, the damage to the core community, it's incredible what they've done. They've turned the Battlefield 5 subreddit, which is quite spicy at the best of times, into an absolute cesspit. People are just throwing insults at DICE day after day after day, and quoting things that the devs and community managers and all these people are saying that doesn't make any sense. From my point of view personally, there are far more problems with Battlefield 5 than just the TTK, but it's the precedent that it sets. If DICE can change something, like the TTK at the end of 2018, realise it's not a good move, and then go back on what they did, and then make the same mistake a year later, what does that say about them as a developer? There are loads of devs at DICE that are fantastic at what they do. They made Battlefield 4, some are probably still around from BF3, and Battlefield 1 was a great game for the most part. Battlefield 5 has got loads of good stuff in it. I'm just really curious as to who is making these decisions, and can they be trusted with the next Battlefield game? I'm sure the team that are working on Battlefield 5 now aren't the team that are working on the next Battlefield game. They'll have a live service team and a team working on the next game, so we can't just say the next game will be the same, because I really don't think it will. But in terms of the decision makers, the people who have these objectives and these targets to hit and the way they go about hitting them, I really can't understand it. Another couple of things that I'm really disappointed with, it looks as if the TTK will not be getting reverted, although they will be making changes to it, potentially balancing it off the original TTK or something or other, I'm not too sure. Just revert it, just put it back to what it was and then tweak the weapons slightly from there. I don't know what the point of this is. You're just annoying people, and people are putting the game down and not playing it as long. I've played it for a couple of hours since the start of the year. That's appalling from my point of view. I play Battlefield all the time, and Battlefield 5 is the only game that I've actually put down and stopped playing. It makes me feel annoyed when I play it, which is really not something a game should be doing to me. Another thing that a lot of people are annoyed with is the console auto aim, like that snap aim that you get to assist you. It's fine in some games. If you're playing a single player game, or maybe a really casual game that requires a bit of aiming and it's designed for casual players and it helps you lock on. Maybe GTA could be an example of this, potentially Red Dead Redemption, a game like that. It's not for a Battlefield game though. Maybe potentially in the campaign you could have it, but this sort of stuff should not be in the multiplayer. We have dedicated players who are playing on console, potentially on PC on controller as well, trying their best to get better at the game. After a year or year and a half, you bring in this auto-aim that ruins everything. People are just snapping onto different targets, and if you've played on console, you'll know how strong this is. They have said that they are looking in Chapter 6 to bring in some options to reduce the effectiveness on it with your own options, so you can go into your options and your settings and you can turn it down, but everyone else can still use it if they want, and it's an incredible advantage for new players. Over Christmas, you can kind of understand why they might do that, maybe a special event or a patch where they just introduce it and then they get rid of it afterwards, just to get people into the game over that Christmas period. I still don't agree with that, but I can kind of understand the thought process behind it. The fact they're keeping it now, though, I have really no idea why they're doing that, and a lot of console players absolutely hate the fact that they've announced this. I'm not sure if it's arrogance from DICE or if they just really don't know what they're looking at here in terms of the community response, but if you're going to post a broadcast to the community, if you're going to directly interact with the community through social media, you cannot say, we improved the experience that players have, because you have not. You might have improved the experience for 1 or 2 new players coming into the game, and I still doubt that's the case. But in terms of the overall experience, it has not been improved. Battlefield 5 is a worse game today than it was when the Pacific update dropped. It's a worse game today, in my opinion, than the beta. When I played the beta, my game ran better, the game looked better, and although there was bugs and stuff with the game that I didn't really like, they're still here. The game is still in a really bad state. Just admit the game sucks, get to the point of the bugs that need fixing, start to bring out these Operation Health patches that we were speaking about 12 months ago, and get the game into a better place. I have a really bad feeling that we're going to be experiencing a Chapter 6 which is very similar to Chapter 4. Absolutely nothing coming in, 1 or 2 maps, 6 months of mediocrity, a lot of people putting the game down, and just keeping the game on life support, ticking it over until news for the next Battlefield comes out, and I think that's the only thing that a lot of people are looking forward to now. Sure, we might get some more theatres of war, we might go to Russia, we might see Normandy, we might see something else in the Pacific. I don't know what's coming, and I am looking forward to seeing some more stuff from World War II, but to be honest, if it's going to be more of what we've just had, then, well, I'm not really sitting on the edge of my seat waiting for news. Stoddy made a really good video the other day, and it was one of these videos where he takes a look at the main things that he wants fixing in BF5, but from a realistic standpoint, stating that they might not be able to fix it during Battlefield 5, it might be for the next game, and maybe it's just food for thought, with some constructive criticism that DICE should take a look at. One of the main things he spoke about though was team balancing, and I feel as if team balancing is again probably the biggest thing in Battlefield that is causing the churn and the players to put the game down. If you join a game that is 32 players versus 25 players, that's already a big disadvantage. You then have to consider that the team with 25 players has just lost 7 players, more than likely the better players on that team, because as Stod said, the good players don't hang around. If you're about to get the crap kicked out of you, you're about to get pushed back into your base, they've got all the vehicles, tanks, they're just destroying you, good players leave, they don't want to hang around for that, and the new players sit in that server wondering what the hell's going on. They're getting battered, they're losing, it's not fun, so they quit, and they probably put the game down for good. In the days of modern FPS games, people don't hang around. Despite the last few years being quite poor for FPS games, if you're a new player, you pick up Battlefield, you buy it for a couple of quid, you have it on Origin Access, whatever, and it turns out that your first couple of games have sucked, you're going to put that game down and go and play something else. Maybe you'll play Battlefield 1, maybe you'll play Call of Duty, maybe you'll play Apex or PUBG, you'll find something else to play. If DICE want to retain those players, they need to stop messing around with TTK and all these excuses for why their game sucks, and maybe look at the important things like cheaters and balancing and things like map rotation. If you go from Devastation of Rotterdam, a really good map, to Hamada and everyone quits, then you're ruining the experience. Simple things like that could really be addressed, and they've got the minds at DICE to sort this out, and they've probably already discussed it. I just feel as if now is the time, it's kind of the last chance to get this all sorted out. Finally, the one last thing I want to look at from this broadcast is the fact that DICE are taking their weapons that you usually get in your weekly rewards, you know, where you complete the little nodes, and then you unlock your weapons. Sometimes it will be a vehicle or a livery for a vehicle, something like that. And now they're trying to put them into chapter ranks and chapter rewards. That's the thing that you level up throughout the entire chapter, and can also, and this is probably the main point of this argument, unlock through boins and shortcuts. I think we saw the 2 pistols from the Pacific through this system, the Model 27 and the Nambu I think it was, I'm not too sure. But those weapons were in that chapter rank progression. And I ranked all the way up to get the Model 27, I really wanted it. I didn't shortcut with boins, it was quite fun, progressing day by day until I finally unlocked it. However, I also did see the point of these weekly challenges where everyone could unlock the weapon, usually within a couple of matches if they wanted to. If you missed it, you could unlock it with company coin the following Thursday. A pretty good solution, and everyone benefited. The tryhards who had the game loaded up, ready to go, unlocked that weapon immediately, and the players that didn't have the time could do it later in the week or get it the following week after. Now we're seeing something which I don't want to call pay to win, but if the next weapon is like the Nambu Type 2A, then yes, it is pay to win. If you put the best gun behind a paywall or 50 hours of playtime, that is really not a good look. And I'm not really on the side of DICE here. I don't think that's a good idea at all. I'll take you back to the game economy screen that I've had up in a few videos in the past. This is what we were shown when the game was announced. Company coin could be earned through ranking up, daily missions and special assignments, and would get you things for your upgrades, weapons, vehicles, your new gear and cosmetic items. Battlefield currency would only get you the cosmetic items, and we're looking at the very top cosmetic items, but from that you'd think that you could get everything through company coin and playtime. It turned out you couldn't get some cosmetic items through company coin. Many people hated that, including me, but whatever, we can look past it. Now it looks as if boins will also get you new gear, weapons and vehicles. Okay, so we've gone from saying company coin can get us everything to now saying that it can't get us everything. Instead we have to pay for it through boins. I don't like the way this is going, and to be honest, it reminds me a lot of Star Wars Battlefront 2 when that game came out, and we all know how people responded to it. It's a very risky path to go down, because the Battlefield community are not stupid. They will smell this a mile off, and they will not agree with it. It'll be a horrible situation once again for DICE, especially at a time where their game is really not doing well, and the community trust is at an all-time low. I'd be interested to see what you have to say down in the comments about this community broadcast. It's not a whole lot of information, and more will be coming soon, but it really just sets a bad foundation for Chapter 6 right at the very start, which is such a shame. Again, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.